Minutes past the hour this morning, LeBron James is feeling the first day of school jitters. He says the opening of the I Promise School will be one of the greatest moments of his life. The first students head to class today. In all, there will be nearly 240 third and fourth graders. By 2022, nearly 1,000 kids will be at the school from 1st to 8th grade. The goal is to give at-risk and struggling students a fighting chance.
Everything that these kids are going through, the drugs, the violence, the guns, everything that they've gone through as kids, I know.
I Promise school days will be longer and the school year will be as well, but students who stay motivated and meet the requirements will get a 4-year scholarship to the University of Akron. With his departure from the Cavs, LeBron's calling this opening bittersweet. The celebration starts at 3 this afternoon, and we will be live streaming it on our News 5 app, Terrence.
Mona, today Akron City Council will discuss whether to move its primary election. The proposed change would let voters decide if they want to move the September primary to May. Members are divided. If it fails, Akron would be one of the only cities left in the state to have a primary in September.
Officials in Stark County are rolling out new recommendations on how to prevent and address suicides. They've had 12 in less than 8 months. The recommendations include identifying at-risk students, how to respond, and raising awareness in schools. Many of the students who committed suicide were in the Perry local school district, but another boy did kill himself inside a Jackson Township middle school.
6:33, a confessed serial killer could be released from prison next month. A judge could soon rule on the possible release of Nathaniel Cook. He confessed to killing 3 people with his brother. He finished serving 20 years in prison, which was part of his plea agreement in 2000. Families of the victims sell the Toledo Blade. His confession gave them answers, but they do not want him out of prison.
And one of the tribe's all-time greats was just enshrined in the Pro Baseball Hall of Fame. Jim Thome is one of just 2 Indians to make it in after their first appearance on the voting ballot. He was the final inductee to speak at the ceremony, receiving a standing ovation. And we have more from his induction on our News 5 app.
The fire department in Macedonia is getting a little extra help to clean up. FEMA has given them almost $140,000 through the Assistance to Firefighters Grants program. The Plain Dealer reports the department will use that money to buy systems to remove diesel exhaust at each of its 3 stations. Removing that exhaust could help lower firefighters' risk of getting cancer. There's a meeting tomorrow for students in Lorain City schools to talk about a new dress code there. We told you about the changes the district made last week. Now the Chronicle-Telegram reports the new policy may violate a state law, requires schools to give parents at least 6 months notice about changes. Classes in Lorain start August 22nd, giving families only a month to find the appropriate clothing.
Still to come, don't count on retirement just yet. The Supreme Court justice says she's got a few more years left in her.
And picky eaters unite why parents shouldn't be worried if their kids reject a few veggies.
It's 6:38. Good morning to you. Appreciate you choosing News 5 this morning. Take a live look outside the shores of Lake Erie. Cloud cover is out there, but a pretty calm morning. A nice way to start what could be a long week for some. It is Monday after all. Thankfully, there's only one Monday a week for many of us. Give you the 5 to 9 for this evening. There is a chance for a couple of thunderstorms in portions of northeast Ohio. Then I think we'll start to dry it out. It will be warm with temperatures in the middle 70s. Speaking of warm, next few days we start to ramp the temperatures up a little bit, and by the weekend it may be close to being hot. We'll tell you more about that coming up here in a couple of minutes. Back outside we go now to John Rudder at Air Tracker 5. Hi, John.
Hey, JD, the highways are still looking good for the morning commute. Traffic volume is picking up just a little bit. We're taking taking a peek at 480 and 71 this morning. You can see things are moving along just fine. 480 going top to bottom there on your screen. 71 kind of going from left to right there. You don't see any issues or delays out here from Air Tracker 5. We'll have another update for you here in just a few minutes, guys.
Well, parents, you know how frustrating it can be when your kids are picky eaters. You worry if they're getting enough to eat and if they'll be healthy.
Turns out you have nothing to worry about, mom and dad, aunts and uncles, grandma and grandpa. New research shows picky eaters ended up slightly taller and heavier than other kids. Most kids grow out of picky eating habits, but in some cases, It goes on for 2 years or more.
I was the pickiest eater. Now I'm like, exotic cuisine, bring it on. So I turned out just fine. We were good.
Did you?
I am a little taller and heavier.
Okay.
And Amazon could be headed into the phone market. The company's studio head hinted that she's not only seen a prototype, there's one in her office, but don't expect it to drop anytime soon. She also says there isn't an urgency to put a deadline on it.
All right, let's break down a new study for you. It says Medicare for everyone would increase our government's healthcare spending by almost $33 trillion. That's just in 10 years, too. So this study was done at George Mason University. It looked at Senator Bernie Sanders' latest plan. And that plan would create significant savings on drug costs, but demand would drive up spending. Sanders calls the study misleading. Up next, keep your eye on the road. Indeed. Wait until you hear what an officer was doing before this crash.
And a few surprises in the delivery room, the charges that could pop up that you're not prepared for.
Welcome back. Police in New Orleans are searching the city right now for 2 shooters. The gunman walked up to a crowd at a strip mall Saturday night and opened fire. 3 people were dead and 7 others are in the hospital.
This has to be personal. I mean, this firing indiscriminately into a crowd, shooting 10 people, killing 3, that's personal.
Investigators are only releasing limited information about the suspects and victims. We know, though, the men used a rifle and a handgun, and police announced 2 men and a woman died in the shooting, but have not identified them. We'll be following this story for you as the developments continue. A Supreme Court justice is settling a personal case.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg says that she hopes to serve on the court for at least 5 more years. By that time, she'll be 90 years old. Justice Ginsburg took the oath of office back in 1993 under then-President Bill Clinton, becoming only the 2nd woman appointed to that position.
Whoa! You looking at your phone, officer?
Yeah, you saw that correctly. Shocking new video from Missouri shows why you shouldn't text and drive. A police officer drives right into a bicyclist at a stop sign. The cyclist shared the video from his helmet camera online, and in it you can hear the officer admit he was looking at his cell phone. That officer currently suspended with pay, as the Missouri Highway Patrol investigates. The cyclist says he only has a few scrapes and bruises.
Yeah, but at least he was right there on the scene of the accident, right? In a moment's notice. How about that? 6:45. Good morning. Glad he's okay. Seriously. Live look outside here on This Morning as the clouds are trying to break a little bit for some of those early morning rays of light. We have a few spotty showers, very light activity across the area this morning, but there is more where that came from. A little closer inspection shows, and you might have to look hard to see this here, just little light shades of green. So it's very light activity, but enough where you may have to run the wipers a time or two, especially if you're driving down the interstate doing around 65, 70, 75. A little farther west, we got some rain activity here in the western part of the state. If this holds together, if this little blob here can hold itself together, it would move toward the Cleveland area at about 9:30, 10 o'clock this morning. So I'd expect a few more showers around those mid-morning hours. And then the second part of the system is back into portions of Illinois. We'll keep eyes on that. I am expecting more rain overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning and again tomorrow afternoon. Futurecast somewhat picking up on the rain shower activity around 10 o'clock. I think it's a little farther south than where it'll actually be. Futurecast, I think, is missing out on what may come into the Cleveland area by mid-morning. Then there's this chance for a spotty thunderstorm or 2 this afternoon. We saw that over the weekend. Same sort of scenario today. 1 or 2 areas may wind up with a thunderstorm. The rest of us, mostly cloudy sky and warm with high temperatures near 80. Right now, we're in the 60s. I think the hour-by-hour shows most of our day spent in the 70s. Again, that chance for a few thunderstorms this afternoon and those mid-morning rain showers as well. High temperatures for many of us just a shade below where we should be this time of year. Northeast wind at around 5 to 15. System moves in for tomorrow, brings a warm front. This may give us some strong thunderstorms midday to early afternoon tomorrow. We got to keep our eyes on that one closely as it works its way in. And a few lingering showers are possible on Wednesday. Then we start to shake this wet pattern, get rid of the rain chances, but we start to heat things up.